now listening to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast.
Welcome to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dre.
And we are here to talk about the submissions and winners for IndieEye Film Awards of November 2021. Happy Thanksgiving, Dre.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. It's been a while.
Yes. It's almost been minutes since we've spoken. Good catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
Hope everyone listening had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We certainly did. We had multiple Thanksgiving with one potential more on the horizon because we did a family little gathering on the Wednesday.
Yep.
Then more family on Thursday.
Yep.
And then today's we're actually recording on Sunday.
And we have a turkey in the fridge ready to
Another one.
clean and cook.
Yes. So we'll probably have more Thanksgiving than anybody would ever want.
Yeah, it's I'm considering just throwing it back in the freezer.
Whoa, no. Let's cook the bird. Because here's a little tidbit inside of our house. Dre makes the best post-Thanksgiving turkey soup you've ever had in your life. It's amazing.
It's pretty good.
And that has a lot to do with indie film because...
No reason
nothing
at all.
No. Okay, so let's...
We're not trying to segue that at all.
Tune in next episode for Dre's cooking advice.
Yeah, because I'm making sourdough bread, so that's a thing.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, let's tell everyone that we've now dropped the podcast, so the website is updated.
Yeah.
So go see our IndieEye winners page at IndieEyeFilmAwards.com. And all the winners are going to be there if you want to be spoiled right away, or just listen to the podcast. Then check out the page. And as I try to remind everybody, every month for our winners page, we try to include links to websites, social media, the things that were given through Film Freeway, we put out there so that others can go and support projects of their fellow IndieEye alum. So go check it out and go follow folks on Instagram and enjoy their work. Try to collab. That's what these film festivals are all about.
Hobnobbing and elbow rubbing and networking and things.
I don't know about anyone else, but I've been able to communicate and meet and learn from so many of our submitters this year. It almost makes me teary-eyed because from what was once just this idea of, could we pull this off?
Yeah. It was a 5:45 in the morning idea, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. As soon as I woke up. And would anybody listen? Would anybody care? Would anybody participate?
Yeah.
Would it help anybody? And, we got those answers the first month. And it's just continued and continued. And I'm happy to say that we're almost at the end of our first year.
Yeah.
And a reminder that next month we will have a bonus podcast for our annual awards, our first ever annual awards.
Our first ever annual awards.
Yes.
It's our first annual awards.
Annuals. But yeah, we'll have our regular December festival.
Yeah.
And just on a side note there, our deadline for December will be much shorter than it is or than it has been for other months. Because we have multiple podcasts to do, and because there might be more than that, but we need to make our deadline probably about a week shorter than normal so that we can get everything accomplished. And frankly, the truth is, I want everything done before Christmas Eve, because traditionally, between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, we do nothing.
Yeah, we'd like to continue that.
Yes. That's... been a week for us that we've always treasured. Christmas being my favorite holiday.
Yep.
And then I'm very depressed on New Year's Day because we were out of the burrs.
Out of the burrs, yep.
And
the burrs are done.
I love the burrs, and that's the months that end in burr. And
not the months that are burr cold.
No, not here in California.
Nope, because that pretty much starts now, and yeah.
But anyways, okay. So, and then I have an announcement I really want to make, but I can't quite yet. So that's going to be next month. But I'm really excited about it. There's like 2 things I want to tell everybody listening, but I can't yet. So that's an unfair teaser. And,
I'm coming back for more.
Maybe. I don't know. I think they show up for you.
No.
You're the nice one.
No.
Okay, so before we start our November discussions, I just want to throw another disclaimer out there for people who are making films and projects. Please care about your audio. Now, some of you care a little too much. And this month, we've received several submissions that have horrific overprocessing in your audio. So, look, I mean, you tried to do something with your audio, but
that's commendable.
You've done the wrong thing.
Too much.
I'd almost rather have onboard mic sound without the overprocessing, because I can't stand overprocessed audio. And what do I mean by that? Well, without seeing your timeline and seeing what you've done with your audio, what it sounds like to me for some of these projects is that you put a blanket, like maybe a noise reduction filter over your audio, but you just like threw the default thing on there. You didn't tweak it. So it just sounds like it's super digital.
Yeah, it does not sound natural.
No,
It's
and frankly,
overdone.
to my ears,
Which are extra sensitive.
they are... Shh, that was too loud.
They are extra sensitive.
To my ears, it's just unlistenable. Even if I really want to watch your project. Which leads me to our honorable mentions for November. And I want to start with The Little Vagabond, which was a feature film directed by Kevin Mounts. And the premise of this is awesome. A small town pastor finds more Christ-like behavior in a nearby bar than he does in his own congregation, and decides to start a church there. Now, off that premise alone, I thought this is going to be super fun to watch. And I started playing it, and the audio is so bad, I couldn't get more than like 3 minutes in. Now, I skipped around. I tried to find pockets of refuge for my ears, but I found none. So, did I watch this whole film? No.
Right.
Because I can't. Like, I can turn the audio off, but no. So, here's the thing, Kevin. I love the premise of this film. I think you have a great idea. It's just that the audio for me is unlistenable. I obviously couldn't get through it. But this was a huge effort, and I want to congratulate you on creating a film. It's obvious there was a ton of work put into this. I mean, it's not the greatest camera work ever. It's not the greatest acting ever. That's ever been. How would you know you didn't watch it? No, but I skipped around.
Yeah, you see enough.
I wanted to get in as much as I could, even at times when I did turn the volume down. I'm just trying to see what's going on, trying to kind of get a feel for the structure. But no, I couldn't watch the whole thing. But it is an honorable mention, strongly based off the premise.
Yeah.
And the fact that you completed a feature film. Everything else aside, and I say this to everybody who submits, if you've done something and completed it and you've had something to submit, you should, whether it's not an official selection or an honorable mention or a winner, you should pat yourself on the back and be very proud that you did that, because there's a lot of people who are super talented and don't use the ambition and drive and dedication to get that done. So still congratulations to you, Kevin, and congratulations on the premise. I would love to see this without the overprocessed audio.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this. I was like, oh, I wish I had this premise. I would love to go shoot something like this. So, but thank you, Kevin, for submitting. The Little Vagabond is an honorable mention. Another honorable mention we have is Parasite, directed by Paul Heron, and the synopsis here is: during a trip to a sci-fi convention, nerdy Simon is transported to a swingers den in a parallel universe. But there's a perfectly scientific explanation. Now, this is Paul's first film, and he did everything. He wrote it, produced it, shot it, edited, composed the music. This is a huge accomplishment. And within this film, he took a lot of chances that he should be proud of. And he should be proud that he has a feature under his belt. Now, I felt I felt well, it's a heck of an effort.
It was a lot.
And I think for Paul, a simpler approach in the future until his resources can match his ambition is probably a better way to go. There's a lot thrown into this movie that because of his limited resources, it doesn't quite present well on screen. You know, a lot of effects and images and things like that. And it drags out a bit, but this, you could tell that Paul had a vision and he got that vision on screen, and he probably had a lot of fun doing it, and he should be very proud that he completed Parasite and had it to submit to a film festival. So it definitely, much like The Little Vagabond, this gets an honorable mention because it's a huge undertaking that Paul completed with the help of his team. And he should be very proud of that. So congratulations for the honorable mention, Paul. And the final honorable mention I have here for November is Spellbound by L'Amour Fou. I think that is how
That's
it's
a
said.
fancy name.
Which is actually directed by Joel Guns. This is a doc short that I felt was really intriguing. It went up against another really strong doc short, but what this does is discuss Hitchcock's 1945 Spellbound, but also mixes in some real life stuff regarding the director of this doc short. So it makes use of a lot of Hitchcock's material out there, and then along with the real life story of Joel Guns. And there's a very interesting twist that's pretty much right front and center in the doc. And it was a fun watch. Yeah. This was good. This was well done. Audio was great. A lot of great selections from Hitchcock's catalog. And it's very strong. Well worth an honorable mention for November for IndieEye. I can't speak. Well, congratulations, Joel.
Great.
This was a great submission. And I hope to see more from you in the future.
Let's make our first winner category Best Web Series.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll talk about a submission by somebody who's actually an alum to IndieEye, and that's Bill Grout. This was something that was directed by Bill Grout and Jade Grout, and it's called Today's Kindness. And it plays almost like a doc short, because this is something interesting that Bill does is he really kind of captures what's going on around in his life. And for this project in particular, Jade Grout, who is a promising young filmmaker that works at Pixar, filmed and edited this along with Bill. And Bill is shining a light on a fellow Half Moon Bay man who is his friend James, who's also homeless. And Bill's book, Today's Kindness, features James, and the proceeds from that book go to James. But what this is, you see, it's under our web series category. And it fits well because I think I'd like to see Bill do more of these spotlights on what today's kindness is or what's going around in his community. But this plays really well, and it's just a charming little tale of Bill befriending this man, caring about this man, including him in this book that he's writing, and then using his reach to pull in resources for his friend James, because there's a really heartwarming ending to this where James ends up a little better off than he was before. And I thought it was so sweet. And on the winners page, we have a link to the full video, so you can go check that out. And I would encourage anyone who's listening to, go buy this book on Amazon, Today's Kindness by Bill Grout, and help support this gentleman from Half Moon Bay who is sans home. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I liked the idea behind it. Just, I love that it's just kind of one of those things where you don't think these two people are going to be friends or know each other in any way. And it's just it's surprising that one man would take so much time to care about another when they're not running in the same circles. And I think it's something that we could all look to, be inspired by. I liked the story. I thought, and even though they're not characters, they are characters in their own life. And I liked their sweet relationship, and it was just one of those heartwarming stories. So I enjoyed it.
And a great short film to watch over our Thanksgiving break. I thought that was timed really well. So Bill Grout, Jade Grout, Today's Kindness is our best web series for November of 21.
Yay!
And speaking of alum to IndieEye Film Awards, we have a returning director, Rodney Roldan, who he won Best Doc Short back in June for Remembering Private Quigliano.
Which was a great little story.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, very well done.
Which you can go back to our June winners page and see more about that.
True dat.
But this month, he's been busy.
Yeah.
This month, he submitted another doc short called Country and Courage. And this is a documentary highlighting the history of Veterans Day and the experiences of veterans. And it's really unique because he's highlighting the use of Shakespeare monologues and plays in general, which are helping veterans process PTSD. He's shining a light on this group that has veterans come in and write their own monologues and then select a Shakespeare monologue, and it kind of help exercises those demons and the trauma that you may experience being an active military member.
Yep.
And I can't do justice to Rodney without reading this part of his bio. This is specifically about director Rodney Roldan. After serving 10 years active duty in the U.S. Navy, Rodney joined the U.S. Army Reserve in Los Angeles, California, while pursuing a career in performing arts. He attended Defense Information School at Fort Meade, Maryland, where he became a U.S. Army broadcast journalist. Shortly after graduating from Defense Information School, he deployed to Afghanistan as a field reporter for American Forces Network, the AFN, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Rodney also deployed to Baghdad, Iraq, in support of Operation Inherent Resolve, as well as additional assignments in Poland and Germany. Rodney's been around.
Seriously.
And it sounds like there couldn't be a more perfect person to tell these stories. So he does not only is he really good at documentary filmmaking, and that means like in setting up these static shots for interviews and lighting them and having good sound and selecting people who are interesting that you want to listen to.
Yes.
Like this Day McDonald who's featured in this doc. I thought she was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he good at just this type of reporting and broadcasting with an artistic spin to it, he's got the experience in the military to marry these two things.
He's like using all of his talents in one thing. It's pretty incredible.
What a great place for him to be. And this is like a 40-minute documentary that I was glued to the entire time. It never got boring to me. Someone's always telling an interesting story, or you're always finding something new, something fresh to discover or listen to. Mm-hmm. And there is a story in the middle of this doc about an ambush of a Jeep that just had my jaw dropping. The way the story was told, and he's using a lot of stock footage and stuff to help just kind of support the narrative, which is great. So a lot of people would just leave that camera running.
Yeah, the interviewee.
Yeah, he puts so much work into these. But it is calling attention to PTSD and Veterans Day, and I thought this was a wonderful spin of, or just this thing that you don't think about. You've got veterans using Shakespeare to process their trauma, what they're having trouble dealing with, and I just thought that was beautiful. So, Rodney Roldan, once again, sir, Country and Courage is our best doc short for November of 21.
Yay!
Thanks, Roddy. Great job. I can't wait to see what you have next.
Okay, but what about the horror that we watched with the little girl in it?
Yes. Okay. So, directed by DeAndre Burton, we received Under the Bed, which was a wonderful little short. And I can see DeAndre's just starting off creating. So this has got to be one of his, if not first effort, it's one of his first. And this being very short also helps because it's only about 7 minutes long. But it's a solid early effort. And this DeAndre is also in this. It stars DeAndre Burton as the dad. And then Nyasha Johnson is a little girl. She's about, I don't know, maybe 10 years old.
Probably, yeah, a little younger, I think.
A little younger, you think?
I think
okay.
so.
Okay. But the title is called Under the Bed. So you can imagine where we're going here without giving too much away. But there was a lot of thought put into this, and I'm calling it best horror. Even there's not a ton of horror per se in it, but it was some fun suspense.
Little thriller pieces.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it worked for me, and I know personally how challenging it can be to work with the youths of our nation.
Yes.
So just on the strength of that, I'm like, DeAndre, you're a real one, because that's tough to do. But he kept it short, kept it simple, and he probably used his own house to get it done.
That's always how it starts.
And that's really awesome. So, I mean, congratulations, DeAndre and Nyasha, for a great little performance. For Under the Bed, you're our best horror for November of IndieEye.
Yay.
Now, for something a little darker.
And a little longer.
And so much longer.
So much.
This actually fit into our best fan fiction category. We felt this was an executive decision.
Yeah.
Made for The Devil's Daughter, a Harley Quinn story.
Ooh.
Now, you have me at Harley Quinn.
I think they have everybody at Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie has me at Harley Quinn. But this is directed by Ronald Joseph Rossman Jr. The total runtime for this is about 3 hours.
3 hours later.
Ronald, how much time do you think I have? But this is so much fun. I really enjoy seeing this fanfic stuff. Like, we've seen Star Wars stuff, we've seen things from other intellectual property. But this is our first foray into a Batman universe that Ronald has built, and it's a huge effort. There's a
lot going on.
There's a dedication by many. You can tell they're having a blast making these and playing in this sandbox. So it is a kind of a Batman fanfic situation. Well, and also Ronald Joseph Rossman Jr. is the writer and creator of the Dusk series, which you can seek out. I believe they have a Facebook page, Dusk series, which is kind of like what they do in the shadows, sort of vampire style web series. And he's got, I think, 40 episodes.
Oh my.
Of that. Yeah. So this guy has been at it. And it shows, because this was tough to pull off with The Devil's Daughter. But it includes like Scarecrow. It has Batman. There's some Joker. You got Arkham Asylum, of course. But to go into everything that's in this within the 3 hours, I don't have that much time on the podcast. But I was thoroughly impressed by the production value and the production design that went in to this in its entirety. So congratulations, Ronald Joseph Rossman Jr. and your entire team for giving us the best fan fiction for November of 21 for The Devil's Daughter, a Harley Quinn story.
Yay.
All right, am I going fast enough for
Yes.
you? Okay.
You're doing great.
I'm trying not to linger.
Yeah, you're doing good.
But, I know people want to hear.
I know.
About
But you're
their
saying the things that,
okay. All right. Well, I'll keep it going. What's our next category?
Best narrative short.
Best narrative short. This was a tough month for that, because there was a lot of things we received
Yeah.
that were really good. And so what I want to talk about here is a submission we received directed by Diodonis Moquette, and the film is called Sorry for My Loss. Sorry for My Loss is written by and stars Jared Becker, with Riley, and I'm going to mess this up, Riley DeCoke as Ethan, who I thought was super fun to watch. And I loved the relationship between Jared and Riley as their respective characters in this film. The writing there was really good, and their banter was really good. Very entertaining.
And natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's also some wonderful cinematography.
There really is.
In this. I love the color. There are shots in this that I'm like, oh, that was a great camera placement. I love how you're framing. I love the leading lines. I like everything that's happening here. And the one critique I would give this is that it was a bit overwritten. I felt like Jared really reveled in his script, and it's good. It's a good
don't
story.
You all?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's we're all committing that crime, but there were just some. I harp on this a lot. There are lines that don't need to be there. There's dialogue that's more extended than it needs to be. One more pass at the script trying to trim down 10% of it probably would have been beneficial. That said, and to be honest, just so that Jared knows exactly what I'm talking about, the dialogue between the females was kind of, I'm checking my watch time. But the stuff between you and Riley, I was engaged in.
Yeah, and as a female, that's we don't talk that slowly to each other. We kind of talk on top of each other a little bit more, and I think as a viewer, that's okay to do. You're not stepping on each other's lines, but you are engaged in a natural way where as soon as the one person is done talking, the other person is really ready to respond. And I just felt like there was a little too much space.
Yeah, I get that. But it's being very nitpicky, Jared.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's me trying to give any type of critique back for that. I thought this was solid throughout. Really enjoyed Sorry for My Loss. And again, the cinematography, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Great job. So we've given Sorry for My Loss, which was directed by Diodonis Moquette, Best Narrative Short for November of 21.
Yay!
Now here's where I start to get really gushy. Because we received, I've been favoring alum here.
It's been an alum-heavy month. Yeah.
Yes. And I
cool.
I suspect if you have submitted something and you've won with us and you have more, you probably are going to submit that because you feel like, well, we appreciate your style. But there is a particular collective out there, group of people that have haunted this podcast from the first month, from practically the first thing we ever watched for IndieEye. And I've just come to adore all the people that are involved with this collective of folks. And you'll understand more of what I'm saying, because I'm going to talk about a short we received. That was a motorcycle. I wonder if that came through on the microphone.
I'm surprised
that was loud.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
We live in a house.
And people love to drive by on their motorcycles. Motorcycles.
No. Sorry, babe.
So, okay, well, remind me to tell my motorcycle story as part of my potential special announcement next month. Another teaser there. If you'd like to hear a motorcycle story. And
tuning in for that.
Are you?
I already know the story.
Okay.
So.
So anyways, we received a submission called The Nightclubbers. This was directed by Matthew James Thomas, and I'll talk more about Matthew James Thomas later, but let me read the synopsis here. After getting laughed out of the PGA for choking on the green, a golf prodigy is forced to compete in his hometown mini-golf competitions for money. But when he shows up expecting an easy victory, he soon discovers that the losers he once stepped on are now the ones running the scene. Fun premise. This was written by Aaron Lotta Morissette, who also plays Chesterton in this film. But Aaron also stars in The Alpines, which, if you've been listening to IndieEye, you know that the Alpines won big in our first month back in February.
And we're big fans.
The Alpines director just recently won big with us with his short, Polaroid. The Alpines is also available for streaming in several places, so I highly recommend. If you haven't watched it by now, you'll want to watch it before next month.
Yeah, isn't it on Apple TV right now? Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
It's elsewhere also.
I just remember seeing it. I just popped on.
Right, because we bought it on Apple
Oh,
TV.
got it. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, it is there. Go see the Alpines. Stop the podcast.
No, finish the podcast and then go.
Okay, but the Alpines is better than the podcast. But Aaron stars in that, and he is joined in The Nightclubbers by Alpine's co-star Daniel Victor, who plays the washed-up pro golfer Paul Griffin Anderson, along with the writer and producer and co-star in the Alpines, Mally Corrigan. Now, I'm just going to admit I'm heavily biased at this point towards all these people.
Yeah.
I like their work. I like what they do because professionally they've wowed me. And then personally, they've wowed me also.
Yeah.
And it's submissions like the Alpines and Polaroid and the Nightclubbers that just really stand above the rest. And I believe deserve this type of recognition. Because here's what the Nightclubbers is. It's a comedy. And it's fresh. It's funny. It's no budget. And you easily forget that due to the acting and the excellent editing and the solid audio. And I'm going to have more to say about the Nightclubbers, but just to get it out of the way, The Nightclubbers, directed by Matthew James Thomas and written by Aaron Lotta Morissette, starring Daniel Victor and Aaron Lotta Morissette, is our best comedy short for November of 21.
Yay!
And let's just put a pin in The Nightclubbers, and we'll come back to that after these messages.
We'll be right back.
And we went nowhere because we have no sponsors and we don't really take breaks or anything. We just want to tell you who won. So we'll talk about some narrative features. Actually,
just one.
Just one. Because the ones I've wanted to mention, we placed in the honorable mentions at the top of the podcast. Officially, our best narrative feature for November is The Electric Man, directed by B. Luciano Barsulgia. And The Electric Man is an interesting offering. Number one, it catches your eye because if you look in the credits, it's got some names you're going to recognize in the credits, like Eric Roberts, Tom Sizemore, Vernon Wells. I mean, these are names that if you're kind of a cinephile, these are names you're familiar with. Now, you know Eric Roberts, who's really great.
He's amazing.
Is super generous with his talent.
Yeah.
He does a lot of indie stuff, and then he'll be in a major feature film,
Yeah.
So he's not only a great actor, he's just a great guy if you can get a hold of him. So it's fun.
Fun fact, he's Julia Roberts' brother.
Who's Julia Roberts?
Shut up.
Okay, thank you for adding that.
Yeah. Fun fact.
I'm just going to get the bottom line here is that
Yeah.
The Electric Man is our best narrative feature. Now, I'm going to be honest about this whole situation. Feature pickings were slim this month. All right?
Yeah.
So, and here's the truth about The Electric Man. It felt like the longest 90 minutes in the history of indie film. All right?
Yep.
Okay.
It did.
There are some overwritten scenes, which are mostly static. And while I am also guilty of this cinema sin, it just stands out to me as maybe you have opportunities to do other things in these scenes, which you are doing a lot of expository dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue going on where it's just kind of back and forth and you're not really getting anywhere. It's just writing for the sake of writing and having people act for the sake of acting, which is a trap we can fall into as filmmakers because it's just fun to watch our toys play on screen. But this does a lot of it. So that's what I'm going to say. That's negative. Or maybe, no, not so negative. Well, I guess it ain't positive.
It's not.
But But it's that's the critique I have with The Electric Man. Because
honest.
the good is, for the most part, this looks really good. And I'm only guessing, I don't know this for sure. But it looks like it was maybe shot on like a Blackmagic 6K. And if it's not, I'm wrong, but I now have one of those. I have the 6K Pro in my arsenal, and I'm getting used to what that looks like. Normally, I'm a Sony shooter. And if you want to know more about what I shoot with, stay tuned for an announcement
Next month.
Okay. And this also has quality sound. There's tons of production design. There's some great makeup. There's effects. I mean, this is a solid effort with some minor cosmetic issues that I think ultimately just suffers from some writing issues and some major pacing issues. That's my take. But it's a winner due to overall quality, and it's a quality offering, and it's telling a pretty big story in a complete way, which goes back to, if you've done something and it's finished, applaud yourself. But really, the people behind The Electric Man have gone above and beyond indie film standards. They've really made an effort to make something good here. And it shows. That absolutely shows. And I would love to see this director keep working and doing more things, because there are some interesting choices in The Electric Man that I really liked. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that these are artists that are putting together this film. I mean, my main gripe is just probably in the writing, and that,
which would in turn help the pacing.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that was it for me. I mean, there's times for like 3 minutes, I just feel like I haven't gone to the next point yet. You're not making me want to know what's next.
Yeah. It's
just two people bantering, which, hey, is kind of how I write, but let's not get into that. But congratulations to The Electric Man for our best narrative feature of November of 21.
Yay!
So in all of these submissions we received this month for November, well, this year we've had quite a bit, but for November, one of the toughest categories for me was cinematography, because we received a wide range of cinematography submissions.
Yeah, that have been off the charts.
Yeah, and not only do some look good and are done with like high quality lighting, high quality camera stuff. Then meanwhile, something like the Nightclubbers that we discussed, cinematography as stylistically is not there for the Nightclubbers, but what they do with the camera counts as cinematography, and it was worth considering. Again, The Electric Man had some great cinematography. Sorry for My Loss had beautiful cinematography.
Yeah.
But we actually received this little offering from France, this little French indie that was made for 2,500 euros, and according to their specs, they shot on an ARRI. So my guess is the director owns the ARRI, or their 2,500 euros was spent renting that ARRI. I don't know. But, it's not just the camera, it's the person behind the camera making this beautiful. And we received Stayin' Alive, directed by Alan Klein. And the synopsis here was, with a rope around her neck and in an old house, Diane wakes up, lost. While trying to understand what happened to her, Diane will sink into a story mixing conspiracies and dark secrets. So it's a French thriller that is beautiful. It is short. It's only 10 minutes long. It's with 3 actors. And it's a great example of how to make a short film and make the most out of your locations and minimal resources.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot to work with, but it doesn't seem simple. It doesn't feel like it's lacking in anything just because of its simplicity.
It feels high budget.
It really did.
So, I mean, give Alan Klein a $2 million movie, and I'd love to see what he can do with that, because this was great. I mean, the acting was phenomenal from the 3 actors. The lead was brilliant throughout, which says a lot about the directing. Had a strong screenplay. Now it was in French, but had subtitles, so no problem following along. And not much was lost in the translation. I wish someone would translate English for me. But it was beautiful throughout, with wise choices and transitions in its camera work. So great job to Alan Klein and your camera work. You have best Staying Alive is Does everyone just want to take a break? You want to go get something to drink or something? Okay, so best cinematography goes to Staying Alive, directed by Alan Klein, for November of 21.
Yay.
Sorry for butchering
wow,
that,
got
Alan.
through that one.
So we have some extra awards here, and I guess the way we've done it is if a film wins a bunch of awards, we tend to save it for the last. Now, we've already talked about the Nightclubbers, so it's going to be a shock to nobody to know that the rest of what we're talking about here is all Nightclubbers related.
It should be.
I'm just going to say what needs to be said.
Okay.
And Daniel Victor gets Best Actor for his role in the Nightclubbers, and it was very cool to see him in this kind of comedy, playful role. Because in the Alpines, it's a bit more of a serious role, but being drug addicted at all. So Daniel Victor, our Best Actor for November of 21.
Yay!
Best Supporting Actor is going to the writer of the Nightclubbers, who also stars in the Nightclubbers. And it's also fun to see Aaron in this kind of a playful comedy role, because his role in the Alpines was quite serious. Aaron Lotta Morissette is our Best Supporting Actor for November.
Yay!
And you see Aaron as an antagonist of sorts in this film and in the Alpines, but the range of which both he and Daniel have is just incredible. And it's going to be no shock to me when these guys just continue to climb the ladder in their careers and do bigger and better things. And it's an honor to have conversations with these kind of people who are, grounded and just having fun doing what they're doing and out there busting their butts to create things.
Yeah, and they're doing it really well.
Right. And it leads me to our Best Ensemble Cast will go to the Nightclubbers.
It absolutely should.
For including Mally Corrigan and Elisha Lawson and John Summerfield joining Daniel and Aaron in this cast. These three characters were key to the story. They were fun in the story, and there was always something unexpected about their characters and their performances, and nobody was forgettable.
Right.
Each of these characters are very important to the Nightclubbers, and I absolutely adored this cast as an ensemble, which says that their director
must have been great.
Matthew James Thomas earns our Best Director.
Yay!
Now let's talk about Matthew James Thomas. I don't like him.
Yes, you do.
Because he got to play with all these fun people, and I didn't. But there's more things I don't like about Matthew James Thomas. He was key in the cast of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark on Broadway.
Which is pretty cool.
I mean, he was the alternate for Peter Parker there. He was Spider-Man in Turn Off the Dark. And he left Turn Off the Dark to star in Pippin on Broadway. And Pippin is very near and dear to me, as I was Theo once in Pippin when I was 7. But I absolutely love that play. There's more to that story that is very endearing to me. But, that's the tip of the iceberg with this Matthew James Thomas. Because he's worked with titans of the industry. He's very experienced. He made the most out of minimal resources for this project, and his talent just shines through. So I just don't like him.
You love him.
I want to be his friend. No, Matthew James Thomas, what a pleasant little project you guys put together and gave to us to watch. And I hope more people get the opportunity to see the Nightclubbers.
Yeah, it's a laugh out loud. I mean, when they get to the thing and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and there's the ad libs that are happening. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so unexpected. And the fact that it just continues as things continue to happen, it's hilarious.
Right. Well, and as I said in the beginning, it's a fresh take. It's something you don't expect to see in a comedy. And none of it is really forced. All of it just feels very natural and fun. And there's some over-the-top things in there, but it fits with the mood and the tone of everything. It's totally fine. And the sound editing in this is super key, because there's things that happen during scenes that the sound plays such it's critical. A big role in to add to the comedy. Yeah. And it almost looks like they went out and shot this with an iPhone, but had great sound quality. I don't know what they shot it with. Maybe we'll find out more next month. But it almost feels like when me and my buddies would grab a camera as teenagers, go out and film some dumb idea we had, and then cut it all together, and they made it look just like super flawless. It's just a great example of indie filmmaking and having fun and telling a great story that has a little heart to it. Yeah. With great actors.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually a plot, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm done talking about all of these amazing people that I wish I could be more like. And we will get out of this November episode of IndieEye Film Awards by thanking everybody for submitting.
Always, yeah. Thank you.
Giving us this opportunity to watch your films, to talk about them. I hope that if we've been critical about things, that there are things we can all take notes on. You know, I just saw a post in a group on Facebook where a guy was ranting about somebody who he asked to have his movie reviewed. And they reviewed his movie, and he didn't like the review.
You got to be ready for that.
He did this 1,000-word post on Facebook about how wrong the reviewer was. Now, okay, you're offended. This guy didn't get your movie the way you intended it. That's fine. I think probably we've all been there where someone just didn't feel the same about your work that you did. Yeah. The same way you did. But the main takeaway from everybody commenting is, hey, that sucks, but, people's opinions don't really matter, number one. I can critique something. It's just my opinion. Yep. But number two, there's probably some truth in those criticisms. And even if you feel like a reviewer didn't connect the way they should, you got to be a little more introspective and wonder, okay, is there something you could have done better so that the audience could connect with it more? Yeah. As filmmakers, these things are very personal to us. They come from obvious places for us, and we understand everything that's on the page and everything that's on the screen.
And why it's there and why it needs to stay.
But if an audience doesn't get that, that's still our fault.
Yes.
And we need to be open to notes and try to become better storytellers.
Yeah. I saw, I forget who I was watching. It was a musical artist who was asked the question, I think it was actually Ed Sheeran who said, I write them at the time, I write them for me, and it's therapeutic for me. But once I put it out there, it's for everybody else, and it stops being for me. Right. And so I feel like it's the same for any kind of art, but a lot of times movies too, because you have to make a movie that an audience is going to connect with. But in the same vein, you do have to still make it for you because it has to be true and authentic and all of that good stuff. Sure. But once you put it out there, it kind of has to be for other people.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. And this gentleman wasn't very happy with everyone else who was commenting, saying, hey, just,
let it roll.
Take notes and move on. He wasn't very happy with that. And if you don't have a thick skin, if you're not willing to go, well, okay, this person didn't get my thing. You can't write 1,000 pages on why someone misreviewed your film. You're not looking in the right direction.
Right.
Just be proud that you made something. Apply some of those notes to moving forward.
Yeah, and we hope you don't ever feel that way about the things that we say. We don't ever want you to feel like
And if you would like...
we're being so mean.
And if you've made it this far in the podcast, if you would like an opportunity to critique something I've done, then maybe you should listen to next month's podcast. Okay. Well, listen, if you received an award or an official selection, you received an email via Film Freeway letting you know that you're either an award winner or an official selection. Yeah. In that email will be a link to our laurels within Film Freeway.
Please use those.
So I get emails saying, hey, do you have any award certificates? No, we don't have award certificates. All we have is laurels. We have this podcast, our website, where we try to feature all the things about you that we can find through Film Freeway, and we have laurels. Yep. And that's what we have. We have no trophies, because on a lot of these websites are like, yeah, we offer trophies. All you have to do is buy it.
Yeah.
So
no, we're not going to do that.
I'm not doing it. Our trophy to you is this podcast. Congratulations.
So save it, audio, save, download something.
Yeah, and let me say that here too. Yeah. People reach out to me, which is very kind, and ask permission to use snippets of the podcast.
That is fantastic.
That's totally fine. I am totally fine with anybody cutting any part of this podcast, using it for your own benefit. If you want to share it or put it anywhere, that's fine. If you want a file of the podcast without having to, go through your own methods to download it or record it off anything, email me and I'll invite you to a Google Drive where the file will sit, and you can download the file yourself.
Yeah,
and
that
cut
email
it.
Is hello
at IndieEyeFilmAwards.com. I guess, which reminds me to say that if you have any questions about the podcast or any questions about our take on your film, feel free to always email us at hello@IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, and I'd be happy to reply and communicate with anybody. Okay, that's it. There's a shortened window next month for December, so if you're listening and you have something to submit for December, pay attention, because on December 1st, when the festival turns around on Film Freeway, we'll probably have a mid-December deadline.
Yep.
So it's just going to be 2 weeks. And once again, that's so that we can get both our monthly awards podcast finished and our annual awards podcast finished. And there might be some bonus options in there. So what could that be? All right, so we're done for November. Thank you all for listening, and thanks for making IndieEye a success. We really appreciate you all.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
If you'd like your project discussed on the podcast, go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com and submit to our open monthly competition. Find us on Instagram and YouTube, IndieEye Film Awards. Thanks for listening to this episode of IndieEye.